Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us to another episode of Root Cause Solutions for You. Today, we have Sylvia Nagy, who is going to be talking about thyroid function, hypothyroidism, iodine, and just basically giving us some tools and really cool information as to how we can better support thyroid function. Sylvia, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Yeah, very welcome, and thank you for the invitation. I'm happy to be here and share this knowledge with you. So
Awesome. I'll let you get started because I know we have a really cool presentation ahead of us.
that's right. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about misconceptions about the thyroid gland and the evolution of iodine. And this presentation was put together by Robert Retinal, and he is a Hungarian naturopath who lives here in the US, and he's here to help all of us with his old European knowledge about natural health and how to support the body naturally to heal itself. And
Awesome.
today's topic is specifically thyroid. So let's dive into it. First of all, when people talk about thyroid issues, then very often they just think about the thyroid gland and they don't think that it's actually part of the entire system. The body is a system of many different organs, and the thyroid gland is actually connected to two additional glands, and it's a system, it's a command center, and it actually starts with the hypothalamus, and that's a gland that's the connection point between the nervous system and the endocrine system in the body. So it's basically like the gate between these two systems. So the hypothalamus is giving the order down to the pituitary gland. Now, what is the pituitary gland? That's basically your hormone factory in the body. It produces all kind of hormones. And hormones are basically these little signals, these little letters
Mhm.
that you mail from one place to another. And the pituitary gland produces a lot of hormones and she sends them out to a lot of different organs to do their job. And one of them is the thyroid gland. And very specifically, the hormone that it's sending down to the thyroid gland is the thyroid stimulating hormone, TSH.
Mhm.
People that have thyroid issues probably heard of this hormone already because this is one of the hormones that doctors measure when you go for a checkup and trying to get your thyroid fixed.
Right.
So the TSH, just to clarify that it's not produced by the thyroid gland, it is produced by the pituitary gland. And that's the command to the thyroid gland saying, produce, you need to make T3 and T4.
Mhm.
And thyroid gland then does make the T3 and T4, and then it reports back to the pituitary gland on the levels it produced. So then the pituitary gland knows, okay, do I need to stimulate the thyroid gland even more, or are we okay now? And it's obviously it's a 24/7 operation, so it's a constant adjustments, and the order is going down and the reporting is going back. And this is how the whole system is supposed to keep your hormones in balance. Now, obviously, if it's not in balance and it's not functioning, then you get all the different symptoms. And a lot of people wonder, okay, how do I know that I potentially have a thyroid issue? If you are experiencing the following symptoms, then I suggest you would go to a doctor and have your thyroid checked. And these are weight gain, even with proper nutrition or adequate exercise, weakness and fatigue, feeling unwell, insomnia, nervousness, irritability or mood swings, cold hands and feet, dry skin, hair loss, menstrual problems, decreased sexual desire, and so on. These are indicators that you might have issues with your thyroid. Once you established that you have issues with your thyroid, or you just want to go down on the prevention route, then we suggest to avoid certain conditions and environmental factors. And this is a list for you of what you need to avoid to protect your thyroid. Toxic halogens, such as bromide, fluoride, chloride. So pay attention to not drinking chlorinated drinking water and not bathing in the regular chlorinated water that comes out. Avoid fluoride toothpaste, BPA plastics, mercury, stress, inflammation, gluten, soy, sugar, saturated fats, cruciferous vegetables, if eaten raw. If you cook them, they are okay. Broccoli, cabbage, kale, mustard, and sweet potatoes. Now, there are also conditions like other parts of your body that can influence thyroid function, such as intestinal dysbiosis, gut imbalance, liver diseases, and accumulated toxins, and TSI and TPO antibodies. So these are the things to watch for and try to address them and avoid them. Then the next question is, okay, after I protected it or while I'm protecting it, what are the things that I can do to support it? And here is a list of things you can do to support. TPO, that's an enzyme. Iodine, magnesium, selenium, manganese, iron. L-tyrosine amino acid, vitamin D, A, B12, B1, B2, glutathione, antioxidant. Deiodinase enzyme, zinc, selenium, folate, antioxidants such as ashwagandha, magnesium, and it's important to have an optimal state of the intestinal flora and support your liver, and TPG. I know it's a mouthful and it's a lot, and I'm very happy that this is actually a YouTube presentation so that people can actually stop it, take notes. But I know it's a lot, but once it's done, you can get the thyroid in a much better condition. Circling a little bit back to that diagram I showed earlier about the hormones and hormone production, I want to highlight a little bit about why iodine is so important for the production of these thyroid hormones. Here on these pictures, you see the different types of hormones, thyroid hormones, T2, T3, and T4. And what I would like you to notice is those little eyes in each of those structures that are the letter I's. If you count them, you will see that the number of I's, meaning iodine, is the number indicated in the name of the hormone. So T2 hormone have 2 iodine atoms, T3 has 3, and T4 has 4. So actually, the thyroid hormone got the name based on how many iodine atoms it needs to be built up. And this is why iodine is so important, because the thyroid hormone cannot physically, chemically, not able to put those hormones together to produce them if there is not enough iodine in the body. Iodine is important for a lot of other things in the body. Many people don't know that every single cell in the human body has an iodine receptor. It's actually looking for it. Your cells are looking for iodine. However, I want to highlight a few key ones that really need iodine. And those are usually the soft organs, such as the brain, all these little glands that I just mentioned, the thyroid, obviously, breast, ovaries, and for the guys, the prostate. And because the thyroid also, regulates metabolism, if you have issues with your metabolism, the one way you can help getting it adjusted and sped up is by taking additional iodine. And because it also has a lot to do with brain function, it balances mood, It reduces the chances of depression. It helps with cognitive development. It's vital for brain development and function. There are many studies that when the pregnant woman has iodine deficiency during pregnancy, then the likelihood of the child becoming autistic doubles or triples, depending on what study you use, but there are a lot of studies on it. It's important for good eyesight, helps with dementia, Alzheimer's, and for children, it supports growth, promotes intellectual development, and improves learning abilities. And I want to circle back again to thyroid because that's our topic today. Thyroid is the one that needs the iodine the most. So if there is lack of iodine in the diet, then once any iodine comes into the body, the thyroid gets the bulk of it. And the other organs that would need iodine as well, are not getting their share, such as the brain. And this is why people that have thyroid issues tend to have brain fog, and they not really there because the brain is not getting iodine. Also, iodine fights cancer cells. And because the breast would need that iodine, but the iodine is not available, if there is an iodine deficiency, then the breasts tend to become cancerous. So there is a lot of ramifications in if there is lack of iodine in the body.
Mm-hmm.
One little unknown thing is there's this little gland in our head, the pineal gland, which is also known as the third eye, that actually have a tendency to get calcified. And iodine is the number one ingredient to decalcify it. So if anybody is following a spiritual path and would like to support the third eye, iodine is very important for them as well. Another use of iodine, I know I'm going a little off of my little chart here, but I've been studying iodine a lot, so I know all these different uses for iodine is when there is a nuclear emergency, for example, like a nuclear explosion. I'm not even talking about wars, but just literally we have power plants all around us. You never know one of might gonna blow up. And they gonna send out radioactive iodine. And once that radioactive iodine gets into the thyroid, it's practically impossible to get it out. If your thyroid is in a good condition and there is enough iodine in your thyroid already, then when the radioactive iodine comes along, there is no more space left in it. So it's really important to regularly supplement with iodine, not just obviously for your thyroid health, but for your overall health, because then if there's a nuclear explosion, then you're protected. Because that could be pretty dangerous, getting radioactive iodine in your thyroid, and then you basically get thyroid cancer, and then you're going to die.
Yeah.
I think that was the list. Sorry for going a little off, but I think it's a very interesting subject, and I just wanted to share that there.
Yep, that's for sure.
Cool. And now we're moving on to evolution of iodine. It's a really long history lesson here, which I'm going to speed up a little bit here. If somebody's interested, they can pause and read. The short summary of iodine was discovered about 200 years ago by accident during gunpowder production. And the first real iodine, the one that everybody knows, that was produced by Lugol in 1829, almost 200 years ago. And that's this famous potassium iodide that everybody's been using pretty much ever since, with different variations of formats. And it was meant to be an external disinfectant. It was never meant to be internally consumed. And feel free to read through and read all the history. And then somebody came along claiming that they made a thing called nascent iodine, which claims to be like a monatomic iodine, which I'm going to get a little bit into later. It's chemically basically impossible because iodine is way too reactive to stay alone as a single atom for a long time. That was one of the efforts trying to make iodine better, but I'm going to move on and probably going to, oh yeah, here we go. So this is a little periodic table here. If you see this purple line here, the second to the right, the column, these are the halogen elements. And the I is the iodine, and then F is fluoride, C, chlorine, bromine. Okay, so you see that the reason I want to show this to you, because I don't know if you remember from school when you studied the periodic table in school, that all the atoms strive to have 8 electrons around them. That's like the magic number. That's the number that every atom is striving for, to have 8 electrons around them. And the elements in the very last column have 8 electrons around them, and they're very stable. And the one before that is our halogen elements with 7 electrons. And because they only have 7, they are extremely reactive because they are very busy trying to get that last missing electron. And now I'm circling back to this whole idea of nascent iodine. Sorry to say, but iodine is way too reactive to stay single for a long time. And this is where a new invention comes in. As you can see, for 200 people, for 200 years, people been and scientists been trying to come up with a form of iodine that's actually water soluble and stable, and it does not move around, and it's pure. It does not need to be mixed with something else. Like, how do we create pure iodine, not potassium iodide, but pure iodine that can actually be consumed and absorbed by the body? And this is the invention of Dr. Kontos. He is a professor of chemistry in Hungary. And just a few years ago, he invented iodine V, which stands for victory. And we're going to analyze the chemistry of that in just a moment. And here it is. If you look on the left, that's an iodine atom, a single atom, which, as mentioned, it does not stay that way long enough because it's very reactive. But when you manage to catch it for a millisecond, then this iodine atom has 7 electrons in the outer orbit. And the next one with the red thing on the top is the potassium iodide. And you can see that they're connecting, that electron, and now both of them have 8. And we end up with an iodide, which is an ion. It's a negatively charged ion. And then moving to the right, this is the invention of Dr. Kontos, he was able to create a molecular iodine, which means connecting 2 iodine atoms into a molecule. And now it's stable. Both of them have 8 electrons around them, and they connected, and they are stable and happy. All right, so what came out of this is Dr. Kontos' essential iodine drops. Now, you notice here it says iodine full weight. And, okay, so I gave you the basic of it being the iodine, the molecular iodine, the 2 iodine atoms connected into a molecule. But then he encaged it into fulvic acid. So it's in a fulvic acid clatrate complex, clatrate meaning basically cage. So just imagine a fulvic acid cage, and inside there is the iodine molecule.
Okay.
And with that, it's completely stable. This drop has a shelf life of 2 years, and it's not reacting with anything. But then once you consume it, then the fulvic acid. Oh, sorry, I do have to tell you a little bit about fulvic acid in case your audience does not know. Um, Fulvic acid it's a natural ingredient that's normally in the soil, and the job of it is to break down minerals into small enough particles so that the cells of the plants can absorb it. So the plants are sucking up the water from the soil. The fulvic acid is in there and it breaks down the minerals for the plants so they can then transport or move those minerals into their cells. So it has a lot to do with absorption. So this water soluble iodine complex is absorbing very fast, very rapidly, and a lot. Like the absorbency rate is really high. I just want to give a little side-by-side comparison between Lugol's, which is basically potassium iodide, and then Dr. Kontos iodine fulvate. So the main ingredient on the Lugol's is the potassium iodide and
Mm-hmm.
water. And on Dr. Kontos, it's iodine with fulvic acid and water.
Mm-hmm.
And Lugol, the iodine content is hard to control. It needs to be diluted and it's hard to control, and there is a risk of overdose even. Dr. Kontos iodine, on the other hand, is very easily controlled. It is an exact measurement of how many milligram is in or millicentigram is in a drop, so you can just measure it out. The Lugol, as I mentioned, it was originally meant or created for external disinfection. And Dr. Kontos one is for internal. It's actually for consumption.
Nice.
Lugol's iodine is unstable. Dr. Kontos is stable. The shelf life is 2 years and it does not oxidizes. Lugol's iodine is brown and it stains. Dr. Kontos is transparent and it does not stain. Lugol's iodine has a bad taste and it can even cause a burning sensation in the mouth. Dr. Kontos iodine has a minimal taste, but it's not annoying. I drink it with my water and no issues there. Lugol's iodine, there is a bit of a risk of a potassium overdose, which in extreme cases, of course, not always, but in extreme cases can lead to heart and kidney issues.
Gotcha.
Dr. Kontos, on the other hand, is fulvic acid based, so it's practically no way to overdose it because the fulvic acid would help to get rid of any excess.
Mm-hmm.
And it has no side effects. On Lugol, there is a long list of side effects, and we actually put a link there. Oops, sorry, I did not mean to jump around here. We put a link there if somebody want to look up all the side effects that can come with Lugol's internal
Right.
consumption.
Awesome.
Yeah. I guess I covered everything while I was talking from this page here, but I want to
Mm-hmm.
emphasize that it's safe to use and the iodine is being able to utilize on a cellular level. Because the big problem with Lugol and the potassium iodide and stuff is that it's only 5% iodine. So then the body needs to do a lot of work to break it down. And then you're not even sure how is it going to make it, that little one that was finally extracted, what is going to bring them to the cells.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. And then if somebody wants to have a more complete support, not just the iodine is the most important, but if somebody wants to do a little bit more support, the next product that Dr. Kontos developed is the Essential Balance Drop.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a fulvic acid-based complex. It has 8 hard-to-get minerals in it, including zinc and selenium, which are important for thyroid. So just to reiterate, the 3 minerals that are needed for thyroid hormone production is the iodine, zinc, and selenium.
Makes
And
sense.
between those 2 drops, they are covered.
Nice. Wow, that's awesome. So
Yeah.
that sounds like, will you say that, could someone say, I've never taken iodine, would you want to build selenium levels first with the essential balance drops and then add the iodine? Does it really matter, the sequence of it all?
I would say just for the thyroid condition to exist, there must have been a pre-existing deficiency, most
Mm-hmm.
likely from all of these minerals. And again, it's really hard to overdose on this because these are all fulvic acid based.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, selenium is vital for the body so it can actually utilize the iodine. I would say just start with all of them at once, and then they're just gonna build in, and uh, yeah, the thyroid's gonna get all the stuff it needs to produce those hormones. Since they absorb very fast, like you say, I understand your concept about having the selenium there first.
Mm-hmm.
And these drops, they absorb within 4 hours. Yeah, if you want to be like really clinical, then yeah, you could say, yeah, drink your balance drop first, but then you can follow up right after within 4 hours with your iodine, and then let's go.
Right.
Yeah,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So how does one go about availing themselves of either one of these products?
I'm gonna scroll to the next thing. We have obviously a website, which is logicalhealth21.com. But we are all over social medias, and everywhere you can find us at Logical Health 21. So just go on Facebook, look for Logical Health 21, go on Instagram, look for Logical Health 21. On YouTube, it's Logical Health. And if somebody wants to get a hold of me directly, this is my text and WhatsApp number. This is the email address. On LinkedIn, we also with Logical Health 21 dash my name right there. And Alignable, this is like a small businesses
Mm.
LinkedIn. I'm also there with Logical Health 21 LLC.
Nice. So many different places where
Yeah,
one could
I'm all
find.
over.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that was awesome because it really highlights if someone is experiencing thyroid symptoms and is trying to determine, okay, this is how I feel. This offers thyroid support. And the way it sounds like the way the product was developed was thinking with the fact that how can we make this bioavailable for the body at a cellular level to be able to support not only the thyroid, but like you said, every single cell of the body it has a need for iodine, and then pairing it with the essential minerals to make that production and conversion possible so that our bodies can truly be at their best. So this is,
That's
yeah, it
right.
sounds like it's great. Is there a success story or a win you can share from someone who took this product and some of the benefits they saw?
Yeah, actually, it's a very interesting story because how sometimes the dots are connecting. As I mentioned, me and Robert, we are Hungarian, and we were going to holistic expos to promote this product. And there was another vendor there who walked by, and she heard us talking, and she said, "Are you Hungarian?" And I say, "Yes, we are." And it turned out that her grandmother was Hungarian, and her grandmother used to talk to her in Hungarian. So we got to know each other, and she's a registered nurse and a homeopath. And she used to be a nurse, but she left the system during the pandemic. And now she is helping people with their health in a more natural way, such as homeopathy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a vendor at that holistic expo where we met. So we introduced the product to her, and she was interested, but she said, "I have so many products, I don't want to take anything on there. I don't want to take on anything right now." But we kept going to expos, and we kept meeting. Like somehow her booth ended up right next to us. We did not request it, it's just how it happened. So we kept talking to her until she finally realized what the products are about. Because at the beginning, she was just completely in a rejection mode, like, I don't want to take on more products. And then finally, she realized that we are talking about iodine and thyroid conditions. And she's, "Oh my God, you guys are godsend because I had thyroid issues and I've been on medication since I was 16. And now she's 40 something. And she's been still taking her thyroid medications. And she's been still and going to doctors and trying to figure out how to fix her thyroid. And she could not. So then when she finally understood what we have, And what the science behind it, she said, okay, I'm going to try it. So she tried it out. Obviously, she kept her doctor, kept going for checkup, and she was getting guidance from her doctor and the dosage and whatnot. But I think about 4 months, it's not a fast process, but in about 4 months, she was able to wean off her thyroid medications. And then she was like, okay, I actually want to get this for my patients. Can I sign up as a reseller? You know?
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And as I said, Robert, the person who actually gets these drops into the US, he's also a naturopath. And he also had several clients that he helped with using these drops and working together with the doctors and everything and monitoring the whole process. He was gradually able to decrease the amount of medication needed and then eventually quit the medication and get the thyroid back to normal functioning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's awesome.
And
I
of
love it.
course, not just the iodine, of course, the highlight is the iodine, but of course, also following the things that I covered at the beginning of the presentation, all these different things that you need to avoid, and the additional minerals and I'm sorry, not minerals are covered, but vitamins and stuff like that.
Mm.
So everything that you saw in this presentation still applies, but the key ingredient was definitely the iodine and the balance drop combination.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
all of it together. So no,
yeah,
that's
all of it
great.
together. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this with us because I hope that resonates with some people who are truly looking to get to the root cause of what's going on. How many of us, unfortunately, we're told that there's nothing wrong, that everything is normal, that everything is as it should be, but we're still walking disasters and we need some additional support and how simple it is to just offer the body what it needs and the body just kicks it from there. And then as we restore function, then there's a less need for other type of intervention that was potentially needed before. So I really appreciate you sharing this knowledge with us. We're going to make sure to write all the contact information in the show notes so that all the links and how to order it. So in case that you are interested, then you can go ahead and do that. And just a little disclaimer, always consult with your primary care physician and before you make any type of changes, especially if you are already doing any type of medication, especially with our medication, remember it's not a medication, it's a hormone. So we need to make sure that you do it safely before adding anything because we don't want to cause any type of dysregulation. While these supplements are not medications and they're not meant to treat or diagnose and they have no side effects, we still just want to err on the side of caution to do that. But yeah, please go ahead and learn about it. I learned so much, especially about the thyroid, the history of iodine and the importance of it. And so, yeah, Sylvia, are there any last words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Yes. I don't know if we wanted to get in how much we want to get into it, but the hormone replacement therapy, like some people opt for hormone replacement therapy, and I just want to voice my opinion against it because just as a basic biology rule, anything that you are not using in your body, you will eventually lose it. If you have a muscle and you don't use it, you lose it. We all know that. And a gland is the same thing. If you're not using it, it will eventually deteriorate and go into a vacation or retirement mode. And once that state is achieved, they usually don't want to get out of it. They want to stay on vacation and they want to stay in retirement. So if somebody might be contemplating or trying to make up their mind about which way to go, I just want to give a little warning that the longer you stay on hormone replacement therapy, the harder it will be to get back onto the natural route because the condition of the organ will decline because you're bringing in a hormone from an external source, and they realize, oh, I don't need to work anymore. I'm no longer needed. I'm taking off.
Thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that with us. And like I said, we'll put all the information in the show notes so if anyone is interested, yeah, just you can reach out and then get your wellness journey started or continue with your wellness journey. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching, and we'll see you next time.